It started quietly, almost deceptively calm, the kind of morning where nothing feels out of place until suddenly everything is. Inside a sprawling Montecito mansion, Meghan Markle's phone reportedly began lighting up nonstop as calls, messages, and alerts flooded in, all pointing to the same source. Tom Bower had dropped new revelations, and this time the fallout felt different. This wasn't just another round of criticism or tabloid noise. This was detailed, deeply sourced, and unsettling in a way that sent shockwaves through Meghan and Harry's carefully managed world. What followed was panic, damage control, and a growing sense that a narrative they worked years to perfect was starting to crack in public. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to understand who Tom Bower is, because he's not a casual commentator or a click-chasing YouTuber. He's a veteran investigative journalist with decades of experience taking on powerful figures, from corporate giants to global elites, and when he turns his attention to someone, it's never gentle. His work is known for being relentless, uncomfortable, and deeply researched, often based on interviews with people who were once trusted insiders. His previous book, Revenge, sent shockwaves through royal circles and media alike, and many believed that was the end of what he had to say. It was. This time, Bower reportedly went even further, shifting focus toward Meghan's Hollywood years, a period often glossed over with polished talking points about hustle, perseverance, and talent. According to claims circulating now, the path from struggling actress to global figure may not have been as organic as it was presented. Hollywood is notoriously ruthless, and success rarely comes without powerful connections, strategic relationships, and timing. Bower's reporting suggests doors opened quickly and unexpectedly, raising questions about how much of Meghan's rise was driven by opportunity versus association. What's making people uneasy isn't just the suggestion of ambition, because ambition alone isn't scandalous, but the idea that people were left behind along the way. Former friends, colleagues, and associates reportedly faded out of Meghan's life once they were no longer useful, at least according to sources Bower spoke to. The picture being painted is of someone intensely focused on advancement, willing to reshape relationships and narratives to serve long-term goals. That portrayal sharply contrasts with the empathetic, collaborative image Meghan has presented publicly for years. Things reportedly escalated when Meghan realized just how specific Bower's information was. This wasn't surface-level reporting pulled from interviews or public records. These were intimate details, private conversations, and behind-the-scenes moments that only people close to her could have known. According to insiders, that realization triggered full crisis mode. The fear wasn't just about public backlash, but about betrayal, about someone from her inner circle having spoken out, and about losing control over a narrative she had spent years carefully managing. At the same time, Bower's reporting suggests Meghan may have reshaped parts of her own backstory after meeting Prince Harry, subtly adjusting details to fit a new royal-friendly narrative. This wasn't about small inconsistencies, but about broader themes of identity, struggle, and transformation. Critics argue this looks less like personal growth and more like strategic reinvention, the crafting of a brand designed to resonate with a global audience hungry for authenticity, resilience, and a modern princess story. As this information spread, attention inevitably turned to Meghan's family, particularly her estranged relationship with her father, Thomas Markle. For years, the public narrative has been simple and sympathetic, focusing on betrayal and broken trust. Bower's work, however, reportedly asks harder questions about whether the breakdown was truly one-sided. While no one claims Thomas Markle was perfect, the suggestion that details may have been framed selectively has reopened a deeply personal and painful chapter in a way Meghan likely never expected. Meanwhile, Harry hasn't been spared from the fallout. Sources say he's been deeply unsettled by the renewed scrutiny, especially given the couple's recent professional struggles. Their major media deals have faltered, projects have been canceled or underperformed, and the momentum that once surrounded their California reinvention has slowed dramatically. With income streams drying up and public enthusiasm cooling, this latest controversy has landed at the worst possible time. public reaction has shifted noticeably as well. Social media platforms are now filled with side-by-side comparisons of Meghan's past statements and the details emerging from Bauer's reporting. Former supporters are growing quieter, while critics feel newly validated. The most damaging part isn't outright hostility, but doubt. When people who once believed your story start questioning it, the damage runs deeper than any headline. Behind the scenes, insiders describe an atmosphere of intense stress inside the Montecito home, with staff walking carefully and PR teams scrambling to contain the situation. Emergency meetings, nonstop calls, and frantic strategizing reportedly became the norm as everyone tried to assess how much control had already been lost. The problem, however, is that once a narrative starts unraveling, there's only so much damage control can do, especially when the information appears to come from trusted sources. What makes this moment particularly dangerous for Meghan's brand is that her public identity is built almost entirely on storytelling. Authenticity, truth-telling, and lived experience have been central to her image, her speeches, and her projects. If even parts of that story begin to look curated rather than candid, the entire structure becomes vulnerable. One crack invites another, and soon people begin re-examining everything she's ever said through a more skeptical lens. Adding to the tension are growing whispers that this may not be the last major exposé. Once one investigative work opens the door, others often follow, and the entertainment world is full of people with their own versions of events. Former colleagues, staffers, and acquaintances may now feel emboldened to speak, believing the tide has turned. For someone who has always prioritized control over her public image, that loss of containment is deeply unsettling. At its core, this situation isn't just about Tom Bauer or the British press. It's about the limits of image management. No matter how carefully a public persona is constructed, the past has a way of resurfacing, especially when multiple people remember it differently. And when those versions collide in public, the result is confusion, distrust, and reputational damage that can't be easily undone. Meghan Markle now faces a moment that could define her future far more than any interview or brand launch. The challenge isn't silencing critics or riding out another news cycle, but confronting the possibility that the story she built no longer fully holds. Once public doubt sets in, it's incredibly hard to reverse, and every move from here will be scrutinized through a harsher lens. Whether this is a temporary storm or the beginning of a deeper reckoning remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. Control of the narrative has slipped, and getting it back may be the hardest battle yet.